Hello, and thank you for joining us for the Wisconsin Parkinson Association's educational video series. I'm Jeremy Otte, Director of Outreach and Education with the Wisconsin Parkinson Association. WPA provides hope, community, support, and resources for people with Parkinson's and their loved ones. Today, we are talking with Vitek from Aurora Sinai Medical Center in Milwaukee. Erica is an occupational therapist who specializes in movement disorders like Parkinson's disease. She is also certified in the LSVT BIG program, which we will discuss today. Welcome, Erica. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start off with a little bit of I've given a little background who you are, but can you give us a little more who you are, what you do at Sinai, how long you've been doing that?
Sure. Yes. So I work at Aurora Sinai Medical Center, downtown Milwaukee. And I've been here since 2002, working with people that have Parkinson's disease. And I've been certified in LSVT BIG since 2009. And prior to that time, I had worked in more of the acute care hospital setting, helping people that were coming in for medical conditions or medication adjustments, then to be getting therapy while they were inpatient and then discharged home. And now I'm in outpatient-based therapy since 2009, approximately, working with people that come in and get their therapy as an outpatient within the hospital here. And so LSVT BIG is kind of the main program that I do provide here at Sinai.
Great. Well, for those who don't know what LSVT BIG is, can you give us a little background, what it is, what the goal for BIG is, and then what maybe you do within your clinic with BIG?
Sure. Yes. So LSVT BIG, one of the most common questions that I first get is, well, what does LSVT stand for? So LSVT stands for Lee Silverman Voice Treatment. And the reason that it started that way was because Lee Silverman was the first patient she was in Arizona, and her family donated money toward the research of a loud type therapy that you may have heard of, LSVT loud, in order for her family to be able to hear her and understand her and converse with her better. So she participated in this program of driving amplitude, is the term we use, through the vocal system so that her family could understand her better. And so from then on, that was in the 80s, and that research developed over many, many years now and is still taking place. And it was originally just called straight LSVT, related to the voice treatment. And then what happened was in the early 2000s, a physical therapist named Becky Farley found that or discovered that maybe utilizing amplitude, not just with the vocal system, but with the movement, our limb system, to facilitate amplitude there, may be able to produce larger size movements, improve mobility, improve balance, improve function. And so she researched that, and in 2007, LSVT BIG was born, and that was how they then separated the two, LSVT loud and LSVT BIG. So that was kind of how that terminology came about. And so I've been using that LSVT BIG in my clinic, like I mentioned, since 2009. Excellent results with the therapy treatment. And so the idea behind LSVT BIG really is that we're utilizing an intensive amplitude-based approach, meaning size of movement. We're driving the system, driving our bodies to move bigger and overcome what we typically hear the term of bradykinesia, so smaller movement. We want to drive amplitude or size above and beyond what feels kind of comfortable. The body gets into maybe a smaller size movement pattern of walking and things over years of having Parkinson's disease. And we want to drive beyond that size of movement with an intensive approach. And so we use the approach of 4 times a week for 4 weeks is the basically what we call the dosage of therapy. And so that's been the researched dosage to provide that intensity and repetition needed to drive what we call neuroplasticity, so changing the brain with exercise. And as you've probably heard, exercise is a really big thing right now. This is just one type of exercise that we've found can be really beneficial for people with Parkinson's for the reasons I mentioned.
So you explained a little bit about what amplitude is. I want you to touch a little bit, 4 times a week, for 4 times a week for 4 weeks. Is there anything they're doing at home? Because I think, and I know the answer because you have talked about this before, but I think people think, well, I just come in and do it an hour a day and I'm going to be better in 4 weeks. Can you maybe touch on the importance of doing more than just in the classroom?
Yes, absolutely. So LSVT BIG really is a protocol of treatment. So it involves both the clinic work, the 4 times a week for 4 weeks, and as you mentioned, 1-hour sessions is what that requires. And then what we do is within that protocol during the treatment session, we do kind of a standard set of exercises that you learn while you're in the clinic. And then those are expected to be performed once you're at home. So what that looks like is during the 4 weeks, you utilize those exercises 1 time during your session and 1 time at home. When you're not in the clinic for those other 3 days, you're expected to do them twice a day since you don't have your therapist doing them with you at home or in the clinic those days. So then after we're all done with the 4 weeks, then you do them once a day for kind of the long term to kind of maintain the functional gains. So just to note, the one part of the protocol that I mentioned were these exercises that you learn. But really in regards to function, how do we carry this over to function? There's a whole second portion of the protocol in which we really investigate and interview the person with Parkinson's to really tell us, well, what are you having trouble with? Where are the deficits? What are you struggling with in day-to-day life? What is causing you difficulty in enjoying life day to day? And so we get that information from the person we're working with, and we kind of customize or individualize the remainder of the protocol, which incorporates amplitude or size of movement into that actual functional task. So we practice, for example, getting in and out of chairs, which is a common difficulty. Maybe even reaching to the floor or a high shelf, putting on pants, getting in and out of the tub, getting on and off the floor, getting onto a step ladder, going up and down the stairs, doing 2 things at once, like carrying your plate to the dinner table, thinking and talking at the same time. So we actually incorporate all of what we learn about amplitude in the exercises. Those are kind of our stepping stones, and we incorporate that into the functional gains that the person is looking to have.
So basically what you're saying is here's the protocol we follow, but we're also trying to personalize it for that individual, for their home, their day-to-day living and other things beyond just the Parkinson's symptoms, I guess.
Exactly, because that's really what matters to the person in the end is can they actually function? So the set of exercises, again, is really just that stepping stones to functional gain. And then just to add to that functional piece, Jeremy, is that after we've learned these exercises and practiced all of these things in the clinic with certain tasks, I want it to be able to be generalizable to anything that person does. So say we didn't practice like getting out of a table at a restaurant, in the clinic, but I want them to be able to take the skills that we've learned within our sessions to then generalize that to any task they might encounter, such as getting out of a booth or getting out of the table at a restaurant, utilizing amplitude in that task. So what we do in addition to all those things I mentioned is we kind of prescribe these other things, like novel things that they haven't maybe tried. So over the weekend, I'm going to have you try to use your big movements when you go to the restaurant with your spouse or something like that, where they can actually try to implement what they use into tasks they haven't actually practiced in the clinic.
And I know you not only are a LSVT instructor, but you've also gone around and trained other people around the world to become certified LSVT. I think what you do, Erica, is a little different than what most people do. Is you have resources they can take home plus follow-up classes. Can you maybe touch on that a little bit? That yeah, you're there 4 times a week for 4 weeks, but there's so much more you're providing and have trained other people to provide that I think we should really touch on that.
Yes, thanks, Jeremy. So yes, my other role besides an OT at Sinai is that I am a faculty member with LSVT Global. And so we provide these training and certification courses throughout the United States and the world, as well as webinars and other educational resources for individuals with Parkinson's disease. And so one of the things that LSVT Global really, really emphasizes is that when your therapy's over, it can't be just over, because we've done a lot of work to retrain the body. And it's really like a sensory and a motor retraining, getting the body used to feeling normal size movement. And so what do we do after we're all done? We need to keep up with that. And sometimes it's hard to do that on your own. So at Sinai, we have something called the LSVT Big and Loud Skills class, in which myself, a speech therapist that I work with, as well as a recreational therapist, join together to have a class twice a week. It's 45 minutes each time. And what we do in that class is we review all of the exercises and utilization of amplitude, where we can give cues and suggestions and touch base and really push people, and we can all work as a group to really keep those skills going so that the body remembers how to use those movements so we don't lose it. And the really important thing too to remember on that is that this isn't the only community class we encourage people to try. These are, again, using amplitude in movement to help you overcome slowness and smallness. But then how can you utilize that to do even something more that you might like, say going to the Y and doing a yoga class, or doing a cycling class, or other boxing. So utilizing amplitude that you learn within LSVT Big as kind of your stepping stone, and you take that and you go and do all kinds of other things that you enjoy doing in the community too, besides our community class. And LSVT Global also has training for clinicians for those graduate classes. Ours was kind of created from the ground up. That didn't exist at that time, but now what they call it is Big for Life or Loud for Life. So there's these classes that you can actually be trained in how to run a specific class, then you could use that name for your class as well as a clinician. Some of the other things that individuals can do as well or use something called the homework helper. So LSVT offers these homework helper DVDs. One is for LSVT Big and one is for LSVT Loud. So those are available via Amazon or the LSVT Global website. They also have a streaming service via Vimeo. If anyone's familiar with Vimeo, you can actually stream those videos to watch them at home and do the exercises with the video. So what I do want to emphasize though is those aren't to replace per se the one-on-one training that you would get with a therapist. However, in these times where maybe you can't come to therapy and you planned on doing LSVT Big, say right now, and you couldn't get in, what I would recommend is maybe just getting that video and trying it out, like see how do these exercises go. And then when I get started with you or someone else within this field gets started with you, then you kind of have an idea, okay, this is how these are going to go. And now the therapist can then kind of shape your movements and give you more suggestions on how to do them even better. So it's either a starting point to kind of get a feel with those videos, or using them to keep up with it after you're done if you need a little guidance.
I think those are great resources. With our current situation with COVID-19 and safer at home, having those videos to watch at home and not lose all the gains you've made, I think is huge. So in addition to the resources Erica gave, on our website at wiparkinson.org, Erica had given us a link to some of the videos LSVT Big and Loud have put out. So you can go to that link as well and find some of the videos she just spoke about. Because I think it's important to keep that amplitude, keep the gains you have. Let's not let this slow us down to the best of our abilities.
Yes.
You talked about, you do the classes, you have the refresher courses, you have the skills, the ongoing classes. The word you keep using is results. Can you touch a little bit on some of the results you've seen over the years just doing this program? And what that has meant to those people who you've seen those noticeable gains happen through the class.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. The results that people get really do make a difference, Jeremy. It's really amazing what we see. One of the biggest things is walking, being able to walk with their loved ones, walk at the similar speed, maybe even walk with less of a device need, potentially going from a cane to no cane, or from a wheelchair to even be able to use a walker and things like that. So those kind of things, as well as individuals that don't need devices, can improve their walking ability and safety, reducing their kind of the trip hazard situation that can come along with Parkinson's disease, where one foot might drag maybe just a little or might catch occasionally, say on a curb or an uneven sidewalk or something like that. So those are really huge things that people tell me a lot, like, wow, I really can move a lot better. Or in regards to walking, some people observe lack of arm swing. And so like they may say, oh, my spouse keeps telling me I'm not swinging my arms, or my friends are telling me, my arms are just hanging there. I'm not, using them when I walk. And so that can be another very observable difference to others as well, that they're observed as moving better. They're observed as looking healthier to other people for whatever reason, as we use observation to make those compliments to other people about how they're moving and things like that. So it really makes a big difference. And I use video a lot in my sessions to help facilitate that awareness, because a lot of times people don't even realize that that's happening to them. Someone might observe that, they might tell them, but they say, no, I'm swinging my arms. But when they see a video of it, it's helpful. Some of the other things, handwriting, really big, fine motor kind of type things. I can really address those in great detail with amplitude. You don't necessarily think about small movements like that being able to be affected by a therapy like this, because we're calling it big. But micrographia, as small handwriting, tends to be common. We can actually train normal size movement with handwriting and improve that with legibility. In fact, I have an individual that I worked with who was home during the day while his wife was out a lot with work and another business, and she wasn't able to read the phone messages that he would write down for her while she was gone. And so we worked a lot on legibility of handwriting and working on techniques of amplitude, and a significant difference. So it allowed the caregiver a little bit more independence, and the individual that I worked with much more satisfaction and just feeling good about the accomplishments, and just even feeling like you can do it. A lot of times people say, well, I can't do that when we start. But then I can show them that really their body just, had kind of learned not to be able to do it, but that I can show them their potential with size of movement. We can really drive the system. It's really amazing what can happen.
Well, and I appreciate you sharing that, because I think most people, when we think of big, we think of walking. We think of bigger steps. And then as you talked about, the arm swing, the handwriting, I know when I watch your class, you do a lot of finger flicks.
Yes.
You're moving your hands, you're making your arms move. And I think people don't realize that you're really incorporating the whole body when you do those exercises.
Yeah. Speaking of that, with the hands too, some of the other things that can happen, like repetitive type movements, if someone enjoys baking or cooking and say you want to go beat an egg, moving the hand in repetitive fast motions like that to bake or cook sometimes slows down, or it's very hard to produce those repetitive motions. Same repetitive motion you would use, say, to like wash your hair or brush your teeth. Those become small as well. So we work on some of those things related to just keeping those repetitive motions with larger size movement for efficiency and thoroughness, and their ability to maintain some of those activities of daily living that individuals enjoy doing.
That's excellent to hear. I mean, you're incorporating so many things beyond just walking, and I think that's huge for people to understand. I know if I'm a patient at Aurora Sinai and I'm coming to Erica's class, I'm going to get big, and ideally you're going to have me do loud, and then you're going to have me meet with a recreational therapist as well. Can you explain what you're doing with all three of those classes a little bit, and what maybe to expect, and why incorporating all three together are very important?
Sure, absolutely. So like you said, Jeremy, it's really a full body approach, and individuals do better when we drive all the systems at once, and actually they enhance each other. So when we're working on big, the loud is enhanced. When loud is being worked on, the big is enhanced. So it really drives the whole system. And so what we do here is we see 2 individuals per month. And the way that works is you come from around 9 to noon every day. For 1 hour, you see myself for LSVT BIG, and then for 1 hour, you see my colleague for speech therapy, for loud, and then the 3rd hour is the recreational therapy with a colleague of mine that will do more of a 2-on-1. So the one-on-one therapy is OT and speech, and then the two-on-one is our rec therapist with the two individuals going through that. So they get to know each other. They work on things that are of interest to them with the rec therapist as far as leisure and activities, and utilizing amplitude with the Wii balance and gaming system. So there's a lot of research on utilizing the Wii and other type gaming systems like that to produce size of movement, improved size, improved effort, improved reaction time. And so we incorporate that right into our program, so the individual gets really a whole body, a holistic rehab approach here.
That's awesome. I remember observing the class a number of years ago and watching the Wii balance board, and there was two gentlemen who were late 70s, early 80s, and it gave me hope that they were extremely competitive with one another. That never seems to leave the male gene, I guess, no matter how old we are. So it was fun to watch.
Yeah.
So, well, I think we've touched on a lot. We mentioned a little bit earlier, safer at home right now. A lot of people can't get out, can't come to classes, can't come to physical therapy and things like that, or occupational therapy or any therapy. So from your professional perspective, what are things people should be doing right now just to stay as active as possible and keep focusing on the voice, the amplitude, everything that we can, so that once this is done, we don't have to start over again?
Yeah. So don't give up on your home exercises. So important, because inactivity potentially can cause more exaggeration of symptoms that are there. But we know that exercise really helps to dampen the symptoms, not only just the motor symptoms, like the movement symptoms, but also the non-motor symptoms. So feeling sadness or anxiety or just apathy, like you don't care about, getting up and moving around. So it can really energize the whole system to just be active and stay active and really accomplish a goal every day of exercising, because we know that exercise can help the disease. And I want to encourage you to utilize that, because that will keep that attitude hopefully positive, keep the body moving and mobilized. We don't want to lose any of those gains, like you said. We've put a ton of work into these exercises and relearning and getting the body to move better, that we don't want to lose that. So I would encourage you definitely to keep moving, keep positive. This hopefully, as they're saying, will be over at some time soon. It feels like an eternity, but I definitely am here at Sinai almost every day still. We're not seeing a lot of patients right now, but I'm here to be communicated with. People can still call me, ask me questions, email me, whatever they need. I'm keeping in touch with my current class participants to keep encouraging them, and continue to schedule out for individuals that are like, okay, when this is over, I'm gonna get going. So just keep in mind that movement really, really will help. Keep moving, keep exercising, and don't lose what you've gained.
I think that's perfect. And I think you hit on the important part is don't lose the gains, but stay positive. There's only so much Netflix you can watch on the couch. After 2 weeks, it's like, okay, I've watched everything I want to watch. Now what? So I think staying active is great.
Do what you enjoy too, do what you enjoy, because yes, like I mentioned earlier, Jeremy, these LSVT big exercises are a great stepping stone, but there's so many more exercises you can do. So take what you learn there and put it into anything that you love and enjoy.
Absolutely. Well, I think I won't put you on the spot. You said, hey, if you want to call me, I'm available. Do you want to give them the main number to Sinai, that if they want to call and schedule an appointment for whenever this ends, that they could maybe do so?
Yeah, so our number here is 414-219-5241. So that's our department number here in rehab. We're on the 4th floor at the hospital. And I would definitely feel comfortable giving out my email. I'm happy to answer questions. And so that is ERICA dot, my last name, V as in Victor, ITEK at Aurora, AURORA.org, O-R-G.
Excellent. And I believe we will have that with the link as well. So if people want to reach out to you, we will do that. Well, Eric, I just want to thank you for taking the time today, explain a little more about the BIG program, how to stay active, how to be engaged right now. While we were all practicing social distancing, please check in with the Wisconsin Parkinson Association regularly. We are regularly updating our website and Facebook page with exercise classes, educational videos, such as this one, and lots of other resources for you to stay safer at home. You can also email us at mail@wiparkinson.org. Again, that's mail@wiparkinson.org, with future topics you would like to see covered by our local experts. Thanks, Erica, for being our guest today, and thanks to you for joining us. Take care and be well.